My name is Billy St. John, and I invite you to join me as we delve into the heart of Zimbabwe's rich and captivating musical heritage. My interest in Zimbabwean music began as I pursued my music teaching career at schools first in Bulawayo and then in the capital city of Harare. It was only when I returned to Australia and began my music education degree that I became more aware of the need for and importance of teaching other cultures' music and language, especially those within our own borders. During my final year of the undergraduate program in 2021, I compiled a small collection of songs from Zimbabwe with contributions from old friends and colleagues. The intention was to create a book of songs for use in music classrooms. Building upon this initial effort, my goal is to expand the book by adding more songs and creating higher quality recordings. Additionally, I aim to transform this resource into a digital platform that can be easily accessed by music teachers in Zimbabwe and worldwide. In early 2022, I conducted a historical analysis of the national curriculum in Zimbabwe, specifically focusing on the incorporation of traditional music teaching. This analysis emphasized the significance of traditional music in education. Unfortunately, traditional music remains undervalued and marginalized due to the historical context of colonization, exploitation, and dispossession. Challenges have arisen in the implementation of the national curriculum for visual and performing arts, especially in terms of teacher expertise, knowledge, and available resources. Many music teachers in Zimbabwe lack necessary skills and knowledge to effectively teach traditional music and indigenous instruments. From my fieldwork and research, I seek to shed light on the current state of traditional music education in Zimbabwe to help preserve and share their wonderful musical heritage. In Zimbabwe, I experienced all types of musical styles, from a fusion of pop classics with African rhythms and instruments, to the traditional mbira making and singing deep in the rural farmlands of northwestern Zimbabwe.
Our music is purpose-driven, right? So there's music for every occasion. There's music for birth, there's music for funerals, there's music for just dining, there's music for storytelling. But for the Shona culture, music really plays an important role in the day-to-day life because it has got that communicative aspect. So if I want to say something about you, or if I want to correct something about you, then I can also put it into music.
I witnessed mesmerizing performances and recorded traditional songs that have been passed down through generations. These songs are the heartbeats of the culture, connecting people to their roots. The mbira is an integral instrument and a significant cultural element in Zimbabwe. It encompasses different variations, such as the nare and the nyunga nyunga, and serves various purposes, including solo performance, accompanying songs and stories, ceremonial use, and spiritual practices. With its origins in southern Africa, the mbira, also known as thumb piano, is a unique African percussion instrument. In the past, it was crafted entirely from wood or bamboo and had been in use for thousands of years. The introduction of metal keys to the thumb piano occurred approximately 1,300 years ago along the Zambezi River in present-day Zimbabwe and Malawi. This instrument later gained widespread popularity across Africa, leading to its recognition by UNESCO in 2020, when mbira music was included on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The mbira itself consists of a handheld hardwood soundboard called guariva, featuring a series of thin metal keys that are plucked using the thumbs and forefinger. Amplification is achieved through a large hollow gourd known as deze. To create its characteristic buzzing sound, the instrument can be adorned with materials like bottle caps or beads. The music produced by the Imbira is characterized by interlocking and cyclic parts, showcasing polyrhythmic complexity and allowing for improvisation, resulting in unique performances every time. Playing a prominent role in Shona ceremonies, the Imbira serves as a vital link between present generations and ancestral traditions through songs that have been handed down for centuries. While historically played primarily by men, Zimbabwean women have increasingly embraced the Imbira in recent years, exploring new and contemporary musical directions while preserving the instrument's timeless essence. The Imbira's enduring significance highlights its profound influence on the music and cultural heritage of Zimbabwe. My fieldwork depends on the dedicated teachers, many who are custodians of this musical legacy. They tirelessly impart their knowledge and passion to the next generation, nurturing young talent and ensuring the continuity of these treasured traditions. The benefits of teaching traditional music were highlighted by several of the interviewed music teachers. Hear what they have to say.
As a nation, as an individual, identity, when we go out there and we're amongst different cultures, I believe it makes us stand out as a nation, as Zimbabweans. You would find that in Africa, it's very diverse. There are a lot of elements that come together through song, through dance, through our drumming. And with Zimbabwe, we are unique in what we do. So I believe once we have our children having an acceptance or access to education, to our traditional music, they can flourish more in terms of their social circles. So identity plays a big part in coming through music or being projected through our music.
Traditional music has a lot of benefits in the classrooms because it helps us identify ourselves culturally. Looking at Zimbabwe, it's got there are a lot of tribes in Zimbabwe, so we have a lot of traditional music and dances that differ depending on what region you're living in. So it helps us create an identity as Zimbabweans, and also if you have cultural identity, there's a lot of pride in the country that you're in, which spills out into patriotism.
I think the benefits of including traditional music in classroom music teaching. Firstly, I think it provides the students an opportunity to understand, their musical, or even not just the musical background. I think just their background, where they come from, and I think music is one of the best resources that we can use to really teach that, to instill that sort of information into the students. So that's another thing, and I think also again, it also provides us with something that's different, that is outside the usual norm that we're used to in terms of classical music.
Our culture is going to be revived. Yes. The traditional music is now extinct. I think in schools they must put curriculum which teaches specifically the traditional music, and maybe to put festivals to promote or to celebrate our heritage.
The benefits may be, yes, to preserve it, but we need enforcement. That it must be a subject that everyone should do, so that we preserve our culture. Like history, everyone knows we had Mbuyane, we had the second Chimureng, we had Hitler, but they don't know where the Japan came from. But that's their culture.
While the benefits of teaching traditional music are evident, there are also challenges to be addressed.
The biggest challenge that we face in teaching traditional music has been acceptance. We do have a long history of colonization that comes into play. Zimbabwe being colonized for 100 years at least. That alone brought introduction of Christianity. I'm a Christian, but you will find a situation where our own traditional music is shunned upon because people demonize it. Whereas we do have an opportunity to align that. If there was no good in what we teach as in traditional music, I believe there wouldn't be a word like Musikavanu, which means God in Shona. So we need to align the Christian values and our traditional music, song and dance, which speaks to the same things, speaks to the same religion of love. We have an older generation that still sees the traditional music being something so unheard of. Yet I think at the end of the day, because we all speak of love, it's something that should be accepted in all societies.
Some of the challenges that are associated with teaching traditional music in the classrooms are that a lot of kids, like I said earlier on, mentally, they're not open to it, they're not for it. It's always something that's not cool, if I would look at it, because obviously our culture's been lost because of the huge influence we have of the Europeans, post-colonial times even. With technology coming in, there's very little that's talked about, even our own history, aside from cultural music. So they're not really open to it. And so you find a lot of resistance from these children and from the parents themselves. Yeah. So I think the parents should really push their kids to kind of help them identify who they really are culturally and what tribe and where they come from. So you'd find a lot of challenges from the parents and the kids. I think the traditional music is at risk because if it's not taught, it's going to get lost with time. We have certain tribes in Zim that have completely lost their traditional music, traditional dances that we know nothing about, even to their dressing. You'd look at, for example, maybe the Shona tribe. It's now quite hard to identify what they're not a national, just a tribal dances and dressings would be like. Or even some of the Ndebele culture people and the Tongas and the Korikores. So if it's not taught, traditional music, because it spills into it branches out into a lot of things, if it's not taught, it's going to be lost completely, and we're going to lose our culture as Africans.
I think the biggest challenge of including traditional music is actually just knowing or, just having the actual resources, in terms of how to teach it first. And even maybe to add to that as well, just to know all the different repertoire that is out there. So, like for example, if I speak about Zimbabwe, Zimbabwean traditional music, we don't have a lot of written literature or maybe say transcriptions of some of those songs. So I think we probably just work with what we know, but then there is a lot out there that we could exploit, but we don't have any sort of written literature. A lot of it we don't have. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And I think the other thing as well, particularly for me, trying to, for example, write music that is associated with that, is Zimbabwean traditional music generally can be a bit complex in terms of understanding the time signatures, for example, or the rhythms, and a lot of that polyphonic thing happening in there. So it can be a bit of a challenge in terms of really just understanding what's happening with the style. And I think sometimes it needs a lot of, it requires the students to have a lot of rhythm, So I think it's just one thing that can be a bit of a challenge, to try and get the students to understand the rhythmic elements of it and be able to interpret it correctly as it should be done in those, yeah.
The insights gained from these music teachers shed light on the importance of incorporating traditional folk music into the classroom to promote cultural preservation, identity, and appreciation. While challenges exist, such as limited resources and resistance from a modern society, the teachers emphasized the need to pass on traditional music and values to future generations. Their experiences underscore the significance of maintaining a balance between teaching Western and traditional music, fostering student engagement, and adapting teaching methods to suit the modern world while preserving Zimbabwean heritage.
Identity, that's who we are, and that's what we need to also pass on and have our future generations, the younger kids, also take with them. Because after we lose that, we lose everything.
I reflect on the incredible experiences and friendships forged along the way. I express my deepest gratitude to the people of Zimbabwe for their warmth, generosity, and willingness to share their traditions. Their music is a testament to the power of cultural preservation and the beauty that lies within diversity. I invite you to join us in celebrating Zimbabwean music and culture. Access the educational resource where you can explore traditional songs, learn about the rich history, and engage with this captivating heritage. Together, let's contribute to the preservation and appreciation of Zimbabwean music for generations to come. Thank you.